Hey everybody, thanks for joining for the very quick and impromptu student leader orientation for the Basketball Legal and Baboon classes. I am going to go ahead and start screen sharing, and we're just going to go through the slides that I shared in the channel quickly, and then we'll talk about any questions that we have come up. Okay, can everybody see okay?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you, Kat. Okay, and I'm gonna wait just another second because it looks like Jacob's joining. All right, awesome. Hey, Jacob, thanks for joining. I've got it recording and I'm gonna go ahead and dive on in and, oh, good, it looks like Mauricio's joining too. Let me just pull up my participants list quick here. Okay. All right, so thanks for joining us. We're going over student leader orientation for the Basketball Legal and Baboon classes. Our main goals with the student leader role is to help build community within the classes, kind of help keep everybody on track. And then for people who are in the student leader role, then they can develop leadership skills. The expectations here is to be able to keep up with the material yourself. So you want to make sure that you're staying on track as scheduled, turning in lesson assignments on time, that kind of thing. Maintain confidentiality. So there might be some students that are confiding some personal information to you about why they're falling behind or their struggles or things like that. So definitely keep that private unless it's something that needs to be shared for somebody's safety. Use your judgment. We're all adults, so I think we're pretty good at judging when somebody needs to be brought in and when it's okay to just keep confidentiality with something that somebody's shared. But if you have questions, you can always come at me with hypotheticals and I can help if there's anything that you're like, this is a gray area, I'm not sure how to handle this. Check in with other student leaders, so build a little network within the student leaders for your class as well. Lean on each other if you need any assistance with that. And definitely exemplify Code the Dream values of inclusion, community, growth, and impact. We expect it'll be around 3 hours extra work per week on the student leader tasks of hosting a 1-hour study session and then doing any kind of follow-up with peers, that kind of a thing. You are not expected to answer any technical questions that you don't know. You are not expected to mentor students the way mentors are mentoring students in the class because you are students in the class and are learning this material as well. If there's a student that's struggling with some concepts from the intro class or things like that, then definitely you can help them with that as long as you feel comfortable doing it. But we don't just want to be clear that the expectation is not that you need to be teaching your peers. Feel free to, and you are not expected to fix any student problems. So if they have an issue, you do not need to take ownership of that issue, just refer them to us for help. So if somebody doesn't have a computer, doesn't have an internet connection, anything along those lines, you don't have to personally get involved to help fix any stumbling blocks that might be in their way, but definitely refer them to us because we have partner organizations, networks in place that can help students that might be in tight situations. So please just pass them along to me and I will help take care of them. Any questions about expectations? All right, we'll keep on keeping on. Just wanted to go over our core values. A lot of you probably are already familiar with this. Even if you're not, it's good for us to go over it anyway. So we really focus at Code the Dream to have an environment of inclusion. We want everybody's voices to be heard, everybody's perspectives to be shared, because there is value in having that diversity. So definitely be welcoming and be supportive and be respectful and be kind and compassionate with all of your classmates and your mentors and anybody that you are working with within the organization. Community, we want people to feel supported. It's really hard to do distance learning. It's really hard to do remote learning. So part of these student study sessions purpose that you would be doing is to help build community. So that way you don't feel like I'm just out here adrift on my own studying and other students don't have that feeling as well. And through those things, then students will be able to grow and learn and absorb new pieces of information and new perspectives and all kinds of good things from their classmates and from mentors. And then, of course, as a result of all of that, then we'll be able to make a meaningful impact in the tech industry by being able to have diverse populations represented and empowered. Okay, so your responsibilities break down to a pretty easy 3-part process: step up, study up, and follow up. Step up is just being helpful, friendly, and kind to your classmates. being supportive, being encouraging. So if they're posting questions in your class discussion channel, if they are afraid to bring a question to a mentor session that you're in with them, feel free to like ask the question on their behalf or anything like that. Study Up is to host that 1-hour study hall each week. You aren't expected to have any kind of thing prepared for the study hall. It's really just an opportunity for everybody to get together, similar to how like in high school, usually you have a study hall period where everybody meets at the library and you're supposed to work on your homework or work on your reading through your class assignments or class materials, that kind of a thing. It's just a way to be able to kind of gather together so that way if students are like, wait, where am I supposed to find the coding assignment? Or are we supposed to do this, this, and this? Or is it just these two things? That kind of stuff can get worked out and clarified because students can confer with each other and make sure they're all on the same page. It's also a good opportunity for students who can't make certain mentor sessions, or maybe they're sick and they missed the mentor session they had scheduled that week. Then students can come together and be like, oh yeah, we talked about such and such in our mentor session. So it's kind of a way for them to catch up in case they were absent. And then follow-up is the last one, and that one I'll be diving into pretty deep in a few minutes as far as what that process is. So it's normal for us to have students that start to fall behind, even from like 2 or 3 weeks into the class. We might have students that are a week behind or a week or two behind by week 5. And in previous instances of our class, if we aren't catching those people and reaching out to them early, then they get into this mindset of, oh, I'm too far behind, I can't catch up. And then they just give up on it. And so student leaders are there to be able to reach out to students that we're noticing are falling behind within a few days of them being late on an assignment and say, hey, just wanted to check in, are you doing okay? Sometimes students are nervous about coming forward with their being behind on assignments or being behind on time to be able to get the work done for class to a mentor or a staff member, but it's more comfortable to talk about those issues and come up with solutions and work things out with a peer. So we're really hoping that that's an aspect that will help improve students' success throughout the class, is having a peer that they can lean on and be like, oh yeah, I get it. The struggle is real, trying to balance work and family and chores and 8 million other things on top of learning everything too. So those are the 3 primary responsibilities. Anybody have any questions about those so far? All right, I'm going to keep on going. So these kind of just dive more deeply into the 3 things that we talked about as far as stepping up. Sending occasional motivational messages in the class discussion channels or conversation starters in that BBB outlet channel is definitely welcome. The conversation starters don't necessarily have to be tech related. It can just be like, hey, you know, the holiday times are coming up, or winter is here, you know, what are some favorite things to do during the season or things like that. Encouraging folks to be able to share like about themselves helps build community as well. Helping identify resources that other students might need and point them in the right direction. So for example, in our intro class, some of our student leaders have been talking with students that are falling behind, trying to catch up. And they're like, you know, it seems like they're really struggling because they don't have sort of this audio visual aspect to help them really grasp the concept. And that way they can let me or mentors know, and then we can provide them with, oh yeah, here's some really great links on that particular topic. And that helps reinforce that concept for that student and gets them the resources that aren't already built into the class materials. And then of course, referring students to mentors for technical questions. Sometimes when you're in a class, it's just helpful to be like, oh yeah, that mentor is totally approachable. If you have a question about that, talk to so-and-so. I've already, you know, seen them in group sessions, and yeah, they'll be able to answer your question, no problem. So helping give them a direction of, here's somebody that's already in class, that this is their job, is to help you. Just reach out and talk to that person. For some students that are completely new to our program too, it's just, I don't know where to find XYZ. It's kind of like if you're new at a school, it's like, well, where are the bathrooms? Where's this particular classroom? Where's the main office? That kind of stuff. Sort of the digital version of that. All right, so Study Up, hosting the weekly study session. A lot of you have already put in your days and times for when you want to host that. I'll add them to the group mentor session, and it'll be notated that it's a student study session, so that your classmates will know that it's just students only in that session. If you ever need to change the time or anything, just message me. If there's a week that you're going to be traveling or that you're not feeling well or something, let me know and I'll pull it off of there so that way people know. If you want to see who's attending, then students can sign up for it, just like they sign up for a group mentor session. But you can also encourage students to just pop in and out if you want to. That's fine too. After each study session, then you'll fill out a short form, and I've got the link for it in the BBB Student Leaders Slack channel. It's at the very, very top in the bookmarks, and it says study session form. This is what it looks like. Just has a computer image there. So you just put in the date for when you had your session. I've got it on Thursday, and I'm the leader for it, and here are the folks that attended. The remaining questions that are on here is just if there's anything that we need to follow up with as far as resources or information. So you've got 5 people in your study session and it comes up like, yeah, that chapter on React hooks really didn't make any sense, and the videos were kind of okay, but it was hard to understand or something. Just mark yes and say some students are looking for more information on React hooks, video information helpful, kind of a thing. So you can just plug in some notes if you say yes. If everybody's just doing okay and doesn't need any extra resources, then just say no. These forms are private. Like, I'm typically going to be the only one who sees it, or maybe Lori Kamala, our program director, might see it too. So if you need to specify, like Bob in my class said he really needs XYZ, then you can share that information in there. Questions about the study session form at all? And again, the place that you'll find that is, let me just pull over Slack, BBB Student Leaders channel. And we've got a bunch of bookmarks up here for you to be able to use. It's the study session form is the one that you want to do. So just fill that out after each study session. Questions about that at all? Okay. Moving on. Again, yeah, you don't have to have a specific plan. You can just work on material together, pair program, ask each other questions, quiz each other about like, hey, how would you do such and such? Things like that. Use it however you would use a group study session. All right, and then lastly is follow-up. So following up with individual students who are falling behind, and we ask that you keep all of that information, personal situations, confidential, for anything that might be like, I'm going through a really hard breakup right now, or I'm having, issues with people that I live with, or I'm, getting evicted, or anything that might be sensitive like that. Feel free to keep that confidential. Only share it with myself or Lori Kamala or somebody if we need to intervene in some way, shape, or form. So what is this going to look like as far as how will you know who's falling behind and who's going to reach out to? So I'm going to post messages usually on Friday or Saturday. I'll post messages in the BBB Student Leaders channel that'll specify the students in each class that are falling behind, that don't have their assignments turned in, or that are or that are missing a lot of mentor sessions. And then it's just a matter of marking that person's name with a little raised hand saying, okay, I'm going to be the person who will reach out to them, and then send them a message within 24 hours of putting your little raised hand emoji on it. And then once you've heard back from them, just put a green check mark. And that way we know, okay, a student's reached out and they've heard back. If there's something that we need to follow up with them on, then you can add additional emojis or direct message me and say, hey, they said such and such, they'll need your help with this. If you don't hear from them within 24 hours of when you first message them, then just message them one more time on Slack. If you don't hear anything within 24 hours from there, then let me know, and I'll do a further follow-up to make sure that everybody's okay. I'm going to show you what it looks like for the Dorado class, the intro class, so you can kind of see what it looked like in motion. Hold on, let me just find the channel. Here we go. Okay, let me pull Slack back over. So this is the Dorado Student Leaders. I'll have the key just like this pinned to the BBB Student Leaders channel, so that way you can see as far as the hand or the raised hand saying I'm the person contacting this individual, a check mark that you heard back from them. If they've just had a busy week and are short on time, you can just put a little clock, and that way I'll know, okay, they're just busy, that's fine. They'll get themselves back on track. If they're needing technical help, like they've hit a blocker with their code and they really need to have a mentor step in and assist them, then just throw a question mark on there. If they're having some like personal struggles that are causing issues, you can put a little thundercloud. If there's something serious going on, like they need to drop the class, they need to transfer to a different class, defer it to later, something like that, then just do a little SOS symbol. And that way I'll know to reach out to them personally and just check on them and see what they need and how we can help them. So here are some examples of that. Sorry, let me scroll down past some of the preliminary questions they had. So at the start, I'll just say below, find a list of students for your class. I'll have it broken up so that way you'll know these are the Node students, these are the React students, these are the BAS students, since all of you are all on one channel together. And then you can let either myself or Janet Zulu, she's a intern that's helping us through the semester with any kind of outreach stuff. So you can either let herself or me know, so that way we can follow up with students if need be. But so for example, for the Dorado class, I just put Attica, I put Christy, I put Elijah, and then Saul put his hand up saying, I'll contact Attica. Jennifer McDougall contacted Christy. Saul contacted Elijah. So you just put your little hand there, and that way I know, okay, that person's been reached out to. And then your other student leaders will know, okay, somebody's taking care of that person. And then just the green check mark when you've heard back from them. So Jennifer heard back from Christy, so she added the green check mark. Saul heard back from Elijah, so he went ahead and added the green check mark. Questions about that? I know it's kind of a lot of information all at once, and having the key obviously is going to be extremely helpful when you're first getting used to it until it becomes sort of a automated behavior. Okay, perfect. All right. So this is again just an explanation and kind of visualization of those emojis. And I'll have that, like I'd said, pinned to the channel, so it'll be quick and easy for you to find. I'll also have that little canned message too, as far as like, hey, I'm one of the student leaders. They let me know that you were having a little trouble getting assignments in on time or something. Is everything okay? Is there anything I can help with? That kind of a deal. No response within a day, send a second message. No response a day from your second message, notify myself or Janet. Check mark only when you've heard back from them. All right, additional resources that we have in the BBB Student Leaders channel and bookmarks at the top are going to be the Student Leader Slack channel, which obviously the Slack channel is the Slack channel. I've got the pre-class information page linked there. Let me pull that back over real quick. The class frequently asked questions, mentor session sign up sheet, and study session form, I think are all the ones that I've got in there. So if the menu items aren't there, just mousing over will pull down your bookmark bar for you. Study session form I had already showed you, so that link is there for when your study session's done. Student resources link, this is just going to take you to the student resources page of learn.codethedream.org. And that has a bunch of stuff as far as like GitHub cheat sheet, JavaScript style guides for syntax and formatting, you know, just various information of that variety. And then, whoops, sorry, let me jump back to Slack. Link to the pre-class info. So especially for new students that are just joining our program now, then this will be a helpful place to be able to kind of send them if they're unsure on class tools. So class tool resources, you can just click the link, it jumps you down to the bottom. And it's a video guide for how to get familiar with how to use Slack. If Slack is new to them, you can ignore the replit, that's for the intro kids. Sorry, intro students. Some of these students are older than me. I don't know why I call people kids. GitHub, so that's just sort of a quick and easy run through of how to be able to do your pull request when you're submitting your assignments. Zoom, if anybody's unfamiliar with using Zoom, then that resource is in there as well too. And then lastly is student leader FAQs. So I've got just a PDF file that I attach that are very common questions as far as like, how can I find my lessons? How can I find my coding assignment? How can I find my mindset assignment? What happens if I don't make all of my sessions or some of my sessions one week? What happens if I can't turn my assignment in on time? So these are all questions that I get asked a lot from students. So you can always look at this PDF to be able to kind of get the information and share that information with the student, like, oh, well, if you're a couple days late on your assignment, it's no big deal. You're not going to get kicked out of class or anything like that. Just do your best to be able to catch up, that kind of a thing. All right, I think that covers everything that we needed to cover. So go ahead and ask me any questions that you have. I'm going to stop sharing. and then we'll be good to go after questions are answered and people feel comfortable with what they're doing. Any questions out there? And sometimes it's hard to think of questions right now. So if something comes to mind, then just put it up in the BBB Student Leaders channel and I'll help you with any answers.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, go ahead, Mauricio.
Just have a question about if it will be okay if I can do every other week these sessions.
For the student study sessions? Yeah, that's perfectly fine. You can do every other week.
Because I have a work where I have 1 week on and 1 week off.
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult to have these sessions during my weeks on.
Yeah, that is perfectly fine to do. Yeah, and for any of you all, like if you find there's a week or something that's getting too much or something, then that's fine. Or if you reach a point where you're like, I can't make these study sessions happen, things are just too chaotic in life right now, but I can still help with the outreach, that's fine too. We know sometimes it can be a lot, so, and we don't want anybody like having their learning process, like your experience as a student, we don't want that negatively impacted by being a student leader. So, and there's no harm or no shame if you're like, I need to stop being a student leader. That's fine. Just let me know. You're not going to be negatively impacted. You're not going to be penalized in any way for giving up if at any point you need to be like, let me curtail this back. All right. Other questions out there at all? Sounds good. All right, well, I'm around, so if anybody needs me, then feel free to just message me on Slack, shoot me an email. My email situation's gotten a little bit nuts this week from me being out sick. I'm still playing catch up on my inbox, but Slack is definitely the quickest and easiest way to reach me if you need anything. And if it's something that other student leaders can benefit from, please ask it in the student leaders channel so that way everybody can see the answers. As
I have
far
a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
So I think there's 3 others in my group that have showed interest in being leaders. So would you recommend that maybe we try and have, say, 2 sessions a week and like 2 leaders for each session, or just 1 still, but the 4 leaders kind of be responsible for sharing that 1 session?
It can be either way. So if you all would feel more comfortable having another student leader on your call with you, that's totally fine, that you can pair up and do those together. Or if like you're in the, remind me, Simon, I'm sorry.
The act. No problem.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And I was going to ask you as well, is this your 3rd session on the trot now as well, right?
Yeah, it's my 6th meeting today. So it's been a little crazy. But yeah, so that's fine. If you want to do any kind of like group together to do a student study session together, that's perfectly fine. I'll only need 1 form. I'm pretty sure the form lets you add multiple student leaders as the hosts for that student study session. So you can put both of your names in there and then whatever students attend. And the main reason we want attendance on the study sessions is just because sometimes students can't make mentor sessions if mentor sessions are at bad hours for them, but they're still getting some help and some benefit from coming to the student study sessions. So we want that to sort of count towards their participation in class. So if we see people not attending mentor sessions, but they are attending study sessions, that's still good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did that answer your question? Okay.
Absolutely. I will speak with the other leaders from the group and see how they feel about it as well, so we can come to some kind of consensus. Okay, great. Thank you. I will not ask any more questions because I feel that you need to take a break.
That's fine. I am the answers lady. Whenever you have questions, just fire them at me. And usually I'm pretty flexible. It's like if I can't get to it right then, I'll get to it pretty quick. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna kill the recording